You're listening to Cash and Sass. I'm Lisa Marie, your go-to gal for all things money. As the Sassy Wealth Queen and the brains behind the Sassy Wealth Coach, I'm here to take you on a thrilling ride from the financial chaos to sassy and sexy money. Welcome back, my sassy friend, to another episode of Cash and Sass podcast. My name is Lisa Marie. I am your host and the brains behind the Sassy Wealth Coach and this podcast. And with me today, I have Alara Sage. And Alara Sage is an intuitively gifted mentor, womb shaman, and Shakti, did I say that right? Activator.
Shakti.
Thank you. Who coaches proactively and soulfully. She helps change makers and trailblazers embody their wealth consciousness, creative genius, and visionary potential. She believes that we are here to live ecstatically. I love that. She believes that our creative life force energy is the source of our pleasure, aliveness, and profound creative potential. And as y'all know, y'all probably going, what has this got to do with money, wealth, mindset, and all those things? Because that's what we talk about. And that's what I love about my podcast is I don't have to have just, financial experts on here because I'm a fractional CFO. I love having different entrepreneurs and businesses in here because it goes in with the money. And so what we're going to talk about is building a loving relationship with money. And I know plenty of people already are going, what? So let's just dive into that. What do you mean, first of all, building a loving relationship with money?
Yeah. So first off, I just want to thank you for having me here and to the audience. I recommend really coming at this conversation with an open mind because there is so much here that will benefit you if you allow yourself to receive it. We don't often put those two words together, loving, money, outside of the idea of greed, right? People who love money. But that's not what we're talking about here today. We're talking about having a loving relationship with money. Mm-hmm. And this is very profound because when I work with clients, what we first do is we look at what is your relationship to money. And most people's relationships to money are either anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, or codependency. Right? They are either only feeling safe when they have money in their space. They don't feel safe when money is not in their space, and or when they don't know where is the money coming from next, right? As entrepreneurs, that's a big deal because we don't always know where the next income is coming. It's not a salary that just hits our bank account every couple of weeks. That anxious attachment is very unnerving. It creates a lot of tension in our lives. Avoidant attachment is where you don't want to look at your money. You don't want to look at your bank account. If you're an entrepreneur, you don't want to sit down and look at your bottom line, look at your P&L, or you do it, but it takes a lot to get yourself to do that. There's a lot of resistance there. And the feeling that you're in when you go to sit down and look at that is not a feeling of excitement, joy, openness. As well as codependency is very similar in that we are giving money our labeling of success, of value, of worth, right? If we have money, we're valuable. If we have money, we're worthy. If we have money, we're successful. That's a codependent relationship. And so I think just from seeing those three examples, we can start to understand those types of relationships with money don't serve us. And if you were to think of, I like to put it in terms of a relationship with another person, you wouldn't want to have anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, codependency with another person. It wouldn't feel good. The relationship would always feel like what's going to happen next. You never ultimately believe that you're safe and secure. So transforming this into a loving relationship is where you let all of that go and you deepen into safety and security within yourself, within your business, within your life, and allow money to be a symbol of your creative potential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I love how you put that too. Okay, so this is how we normally have that relationship, right? Majority of us we normally, unless we've done the work, we fall into those three categories. So how do people shift from that?
Great question. First, it's about awareness. It's always about awareness. We have to be willing
Yes.
to ask these questions, to have that self-awareness. And
Mhm.
I always like to say, because this is so important, this isn't about, like, if you have one of those that I mentioned, it doesn't make you a bad person. It
Right.
doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't mean that, gee, what's your problem, right? No, we have been conditioned largely, and specifically women.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's look back in the generations. It wasn't that long ago. Women didn't even have bank accounts.
Right.
Okay. Didn't even have bank accounts. Like, just think about that, right? And now here we are with our own businesses managing our money. Those belief structures that were with our grandparents, great grandmother that didn't have a bank account, those get passed down genetically. That is proven biologically.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yep.
just remembering that this is not necessarily all you. This could be your great grandmother's stuff. And
Right.
again, it doesn't make you a bad person or anything. And the more willingness you are to have that self-awareness, right? Then you can choose to create your life differently. That's power. Right? That's
Mhm.
power. So, first it's about awareness. And I recommend sitting down and asking yourself, am I anxious with money? How do I feel when lots of money comes in? How do I feel when lots of money goes out? How do I feel my bank account gets really low? Right? How do I feel if you're an entrepreneur when I don't have anything in the works coming to create my next launch or create my next program or my next courses, or when clients leave, right? How do I feel? Again, kind of what I mentioned before, when I sit down to look at my money, right? How do I feel when bills come through that were unexpected or that aren't, something that you enjoy paying for? Sitting down and just contemplating these questions will really show you, okay, this is the truth of your relationship to money, right? Then the second step is the acceptance of yourself in that. Like, I had a very codependent relationship with money. I was told by my higher self to ask money, how do I show up in the relationship? And money was like, show up. You don't show up. You just call on me when you want me, and that's about it. And even though there was some level of gratitude, there wasn't a whole lot of appreciation. So I had to accept that I had this, basically dysfunctional relationship with money. And then it's about taking the tiny steps, right? Because
Mhm.
it can be a lot to chew. Okay, I have maybe a highly dysfunctional relationship with money. That's a big thing to try to shift.
Mhm.
And so you can ask yourself, what can I start to bring into my life now? One action step that's going to help create new habits, new patterns, and new behaviors. So some of these examples could be, that you set time apart every week to look at your finances. And before you do that, you take some breaths, you remind yourself, I can do this, and I can do this from a positive energy, right? Regardless of what I see, I get to choose how I feel. You get to choose your emotional state. That's
Mhm.
that's just 100% your choice. It could be something like every time you receive money, you really sit in a place of gratitude, even if it's $1.50, right? And really like, I'm just so grateful for this money, as well as every time you spend money,
Do
you sit
y'all
in a
hear
place of
that? She's
gratitude.
about to say, have gratitude for spending money, and I say it all the time. Okay, sorry.
Well, then they should be listening. If they are not
Right?
listening, wake up. Yes. Yes. So yes, those are the perfect examples of ways that we can take tiny little action, implement daily, and start to transform a relationship.
Yes. And, one of the things I'm going to say, just for some of y'all who may not realize it, because I didn't realize it. I'm 51 and I did not realize this until earlier this year. Um, with the bank accounts and women, y'all, it wasn't until after I was born. I was born in 1973. So it was in the 70s that women were able to go and open up a bank account
Oh, wow.
by themselves. So I want you to realize that wasn't all that long ago. Okay. Because I'm 51. And I think it was in the late, I think it was after I was born. We looked it up. And,
Wow.
and if you go and look at the t shirts that they have, it tells you, right? Y'all know what t shirts I'm talking about. They're all going all over to TikTok. And if you don't, just go look it up. The point, okay, is I honest to God did not realize, right? I mean, I knew we weren't always able to, and I don't know why I didn't think it was in the 70s, okay?
I didn't
That
think it was in the
was in the years
70s.
I was born.
Oh
A
my
woman
God.
could
I
get
was
a
thinking it
bank
was in
account,
the
but
60s.
they could get one in the 60s, but they had to have their husband with them. So I want you to realize that it was not all that long ago. And the point with that is yes, it's a proven scientific fact. I've got mindset books and books beyond that have shown, just like drug addiction, alcoholism, child abuse, the money thing, it can go back as far as 7 generations. So if you have a mindset of money is evil, money is bad, money is hard to come by, you could go back 7 generations, and if, say, I don't know, 3 or 4, like go 3 generations back, and your great grandparents were in the Great Depression.
Yeah.
If they had a big, huge, booming business and then got hit in the Great Depression and lost everything, how they reacted and what they did, I guarantee you carried from them to their kids, to the next kids, then down to you. And we don't realize that. And the other scientific fact, and I know you're going to agree with me, Alara, is the fact that most of us encompass all of that stuff from our society and the people around us by the time we're 7 years old.
Yes, and it's so unaware. You don't even realize that you are, because you're actually in a lower brainwave state.
You're absorbing
which is a
it.
very receptive state. You're just absorbing everything you hear, everything you see, everything you're exposed to, and you're not even consciously saying, "Oh, that's a money belief." That's you're just receiving it as truth,
Taking it
as
in, right?
truth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And and here's the thing. This is what got me as an adult to realize, oh, wait, I can change. I grew up around theft, violence, drug addiction. Y'all know this. It's in my family. It's part of my bio. I share it for a reason, because I consciously made a decision. It stopped with me. Okay. If it goes back 7 generations and we can consciously say, the alcoholism and drug addiction, I'm staying as far away from it as possible. Statistics isn't going to mean crap when it comes to that for me. Then that means we can consciously make a decision to change our relationship with money and it not be the same as it was 7 generations back or 3 generations back. We have to consciously make that decision. And I love the way you said that, is because the first thing is knowing. You can't do anything without knowing. And I tell people all the time, knowledge is power. And the reason why knowledge is power is because as soon as you have that knowledge, now you can do something with it. You just have to decide. And so I just think that that's really, really really important, because one of the things you said is that if we get to choose what we do, right? And part of that is, I love the way you said in your thing when I was looking at it, was money is neutral energy. I want you to explain that, because I tell people money is energy. Money's on a piece of paper. It's energy. And no, I'm not talking out in the woo-woo land. Honest to God, it's energy. So will you explain to them what you mean by neutral energy?
Yes, because we are so quick to label. This is a really great question. We're so quick to label money as evil, bad, wrong, or the god of all things. Not many people think that, but there are some people who give all their power to money. But the truth is that money doesn't hold positive or negative. It's just a symbolism of creative life force energy. Creative life force energy is energy we all have within us to create our reality. Money is currency. It's the currency of that creative life force energy. So money in itself is not inherently good nor bad. It is the person that holds the money that chooses whether that money is utilized, good or bad. I like to use the example of a knife, right? You
Mm-hmm.
could have this beautiful chef knife, and that chef knife could be used to make the most delicious gourmet meal. It could be used to make food for the homeless. It could be used in so many positive ways, or it could literally stab somebody to death. It's not the knife that's the issue or the positive or negative. It's a person that's holding that knife. And I'm not taking this into other categories and other discussions. I'm just using that as an example of ways that a tool, right, which money is, can be used in a plethora of different ways. We get to choose how we use it. And, from my perspective, we're really in what I call the new era of wealth. This is where the change makers and the leaders like yourself, Lisa Marie, who are choosing to say, you know what, the buck stops here. I'm not going to be bringing forth this trauma anymore. You're a change maker, my love. And I'm sure your audience is as well. And with change makers, we're the ones that are getting to say, you know what, I want to bring wealth. I want to bring money into humanity in a way that is serving humanity instead of what we've done in the past and the generations and the pain and the trauma that has been created by money.
Yeah, the way the people who held the money, the way they created that trauma, the way they held it over people's heads, women's heads. Yes, I've literally said several times, the buck stops here. We're not doing it this way. And here's the other thing, and I really want to make sure that we say this and explain this. When you recognize your relationship with money and you know it and you're like, okay, I'm going to change it. Please don't think that because you've changed it, that you're just never going to have to worry about the negativity popping up again. Just get that out of your brain because it's not true. I've been doing I have over 20 years experience, but I've been doing this work for 8 years. And with that mindset, I've been changing my relationship with money over, it's been 7, 8 years. Every time every time I'm up leveling, anytime there's an up level. And this past year has proven to be the biggest up leveling, a shift that was going to be happening. And every time we up level, nobody has been able to prove me wrong yet. So if someone can prove me wrong, great. But so far, no one's been able to prove me wrong. Every single time you go to up level, shit hits the fan. In some way, form, or fashion. It could be in the business, it could be in personal, but something out of the ordinary that you're not expecting is going to happen. It's going to test you. Okay. And the key is to, and I'm sure Lara's going to agree, is to have tools in that tool belt to help you, like taking your deep breath, right? And remembering the gratitude. I still do that. I make it even more of a conscious decision when I go to the grocery store and the grocery prices have all of a sudden gone doubled, right? Or the price of eggs tripled. You have to, okay, wait, you know what? We're not taking our thoughts there. Deep breath and just, I call it getting grounded, getting centered. And I'll do this where the hands over the heart and my gut, because I know, trusting my intuition, and I'm grounded. And it's one of the things I've learned doing somatic and just being deep in myself. Those are tools that I now have in my tool belt that I didn't have in my tool belt 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I just got those in this past year. And it was because of the shifting that happened in this year. I'm like, okay, these tools are no longer working, so I don't lose my crap. We need to figure out what's what. And my coaches were able to provide me these tools, and having that is having it is key. It's just knowing that you have those, and that the reason why you have those is so that you can remember that money is neutral. And when life happens and throws those curveballs or throws lemons at you for you to make lemonade or whatever, it's not meaning money's bad, right? It's okay. What can we do about it, and how do we react with it, and staying in that gratitude and staying in that grounding, centered, having, not loving money, but like she said, having a loving relationship with money. I love the way you said that we can either have a toxic relationship or we can have a loving relationship. And I want you to explain what you mean so that people can understand the difference between the toxic and loving.
Absolutely. And I love how you use your breath. I am a big proponent of breathing as well. And I just want to say to the audience what Lisa Marie was just saying about of taking a moment, pausing and breathing. It's so substantial because specifically when we're speaking to money, money is a resource. That's what money is. And we need resources to survive. And so what happens when we are in those moments where, okay, the eggs, double in price, et cetera, is it can trigger your need to survive, your
Mm-hmm.
survival instincts.
Yep.
And what happens when you take a breath, particularly into your belly, where your belly goes out as you inhale, your diaphragm drops down, is you stimulate your vagus nerve. And your vagus nerve is the part of your body that can shift you out of survival, which is fight or flight, fawn or freeze, and into rest and digest, where you are actually in a state of mental clarity. And you are thinking from a place of your empowered, embodied state rather than, oh my gosh, I need to survive, which is fear based. And that will never, ever, ever, ever get you anywhere that you want to go. It will actually take you the opposite direction. So I just wanted
Amen
to
to
speak
that
to
one.
that. Yeah,
Amen to that.
absolutely. So what does we talked a lot about what a toxic, dysfunctional relationship looks like, right? A loving relationship with money is really about the ability to have conversation with money. I have conversation with money all the time because, again, for those who are listening to this and those who are grasping this information and this is lighting you up, you are a change maker. And because anybody who's understanding this and desiring to bring these new concepts into humanity is a change maker. And what that means is that, it's really about how can money serve me as an individual in my life and amplify my impact. Amplify what I'm here to do, whatever that
Mhm.
is. Maybe grow gardens for your community. How much could money support that, right? Maybe you're a teacher. How much could money support your impact as a teacher? Like, doesn't matter what you do, money has a capacity to amplify your impact. So, a loving relationship with money is really having that conversation with money and really feeling, where does that impact want to be now? Where can I serve at the highest of who I am, my genius, and what's going to bring that impact to humanity? Being able to have that conversation with money, and as I mentioned, feeling really safe. You have to learn how to feel safe in you as an individual, trusting in your own wisdom, trusting in your intuition, trusting in your internal power, so that you aren't granting your power to money. Money does not want you to project your power onto money, to disempower yourself through money. So a healthy, loving relationship, and again, you can think of this very much like an intimate relationship. We don't want it anymore. Give all of our power to the men in our lives, right? Okay, honey, you take care of everything. I'll stay home and clean the house. That is not what women desire anymore. We want that sense of empowerment. So a loving relationship with money is finding that sense of security, safety, empowerment in yourself. So regardless of what money does in your life, you have that in and of yourself. The beauty of when that actually transpires is that money shows up for you. It's like this beautiful irony. Time and time again, I've seen this with my clients. And one woman in particular who she was really struggling. She had a business and she was just looking for all the different strategies, right? Looking for the strategies that were going to bring her the wealth, constantly chasing after money. Because she did have a sense of, I need to survive. I need this money to survive, which is okay to have that belief structure. But as we shifted these subconscious beliefs in her body and she found that place of safety in her body, it was amazing how quickly her business started to rise in profit, even though no strategy changed. Nothing changed, no messaging, nothing except that embodiment of herself.
Yeah, and I think it's so important. I mean, that's one of the things that I've been learning over this past year is that embodiment. And it's called going deeper, right? Going deeper in that embodiment within yourself. And sometimes, even though we've done a lot of the work, as my coach, I went through the trauma informed coach with trauma informed coach too, because I found I was literally going into the flight or fight. I was like I felt like I had been attacked, and I was having to fight for my livelihood, for my life, and I was reacting, and I realized, and then I went into freeze mode from it. Right, the flight and that freeze is very true, because then you get stuck and you're like, and honestly, that freeze is what ended up being, because I went into the fight mode, then the freeze, and because I got stuck and I just stopped doing things. Like, I was showing up on my coaching calls, but I wasn't really doing, as my coach says, I got off the court. I was on the sidelines. And doing that work helped me realize that even though we may heal the things, and recognize it, that sometimes even when we grow, we have to go deeper. And some of those things can pop up, and how we react to it is going to lead to whether or not we're going to stay, if we're going to make a rash decision, right? Or if we're going to make a mindful decision. Now, even if it's a mindful decision, for example, vehicle breaks down, it's money that you may not have had saved anymore because you already had something that you had to fix, right? That could just literally send you up into whatever. I know, it's done it to me. How we react. Okay. So I took that deep breath. I just, and I would say, breathe, Lisa, breathe. Yes, I would talk to myself. I did. I was reminding myself to breathe. Don't panic, breathe, take it. And then I would go and say, okay, what's the best course of action? Does that mean it was an easy course of action or an easy decision? No. The only thing that changed in that is I started making a decision from a place, no longer from a place of panic or fight or flight, like you're talking about, right? Instead, it was a place of, okay, this is what's going on. This is how this needs to be done. These are the choices I have. What's the best course of action? And what do I need to do to get to here, to where I no longer have to have these things? And then in the process, later on, am I going to do some deep breathing again so I don't go into panic? Am I going to do some dance movement to move negative energy out of me? I can pretty much guarantee you absolutely yes, because I did. And I'll probably do it again. And that's the key with that, with having those tools. These are all tools that I just got in like the last 6 months, within the last 6 months, that I absolutely love having, and they benefit me now because I have those other tools already, right? I already have the tools of the gratitude and the things. I needed something to remind me to come back to centered and not let the things out of our control take over us on how we react, because that's where that toxic relationship for money comes from, right? Like, if we react that way, that's where that toxicity is going to go. And you're going to end up back on that hamster wheel that I call it.
Absolutely. And I love how you speak to this, because it's so important when you were mentioning up leveling. What a lot of people don't understand is when we go to up level our life, right? When we want to create more income, we'll speak to that because this is what we're talking about here. We have to understand that that's an actual pressure on our nervous system. People often don't think about the fact that holding a lot of money is a lot of responsibility and pressure. So the perfect example of this is when people, we all know this, people win the lottery and they often actually go the opposite direction into bankruptcy, because their nervous system cannot hold that much responsibility. So whenever we're up leveling, we have to acknowledge that we have to work with our nervous system. I also use breath work because it's a very powerful transformation of your nervous system, and other tools as well that you can learn to support your nervous system to shift so that you ultimately feel safe to increase your wealth, safe to hold more money. Otherwise, you simply will not do it because there's a mechanism inside of you that says it's not safe. I can't go there. It's not safe. And, I know we talk about that a lot, but it's really important to understand how strong that system within you is. It will not let you do things that it believes is unsafe for you. So you have to work with your nervous system to feel safe in those higher levels of money. And, of course, as you mentioned before, also address the reoccurring limiting beliefs that continue to show up because your awareness is changing. So you're being offered to revisit those limiting beliefs, revisit aspects of self as you increase your awareness. And it's so important. It's not going to stop. Just like Lisa Marie said, every time you up level, you face this. And if you can shift your perspective and say, oh, look, here it is again, right? Here's that nervous system. Here's those limiting beliefs. Here's those aspects of self. Guess what that means? That means I am up leveling, right? That's a beautiful reflection. And the more you do this kind of work, you get better and better at moving through that. And the whole process becomes much shorter as well as radically more smoother.
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of the things I found is like, okay, recognizing, oh, wait, this is what's happening. Okay, we're still up leveling. We're not done doing the shifting and the up leveling,
Yeah.
and it's going to be okay. How do we navigate this? What and instead of thinking it's happening to us. So often when life throws curveballs or hiccups, we say it's happening to us. And what we have to remember is life's life. It's going to happen. There are things out of our control, right? Our vehicles are going to break down. Again, it's life. There are things they're going to happen. Again, like she said, is how we respond to it and say, oh, okay, you know what? This is my nervous system like freaking the hell out and, not feeling comfortable. And what someone told me too is, especially with the trauma informed part, that flight and that fright, a lot of times our nervous system thinks we're heading into danger, thinks it's not safe, right? Because you're nervous or you're freaking out that, oh my God, I'm going to, make this boomcoons of money. Your nervous system go, oh, she's scared. Nope. We got to stop this. She can't go that route. And what we have to do is, like she says, we have to literally, I have a conversation with inner self. I say, no, hey, look, I hear you. I understand you. And this is not in danger. This is going to be good for us. And yes, we still have to. That's one of the things I found is I had to work on that so that my nervous system understood that it was okay for us to make more money, that it was okay for us to be able to have that responsibility, that we could hold it. And this is the impact we can make with it. This is the changes that we can do with it. And, that's so important. And I think it's work that most of us don't realize will actually help us change our relationship with money and keep our relationship with money as a loving relationship.
Absolutely. And, for entrepreneurs, this conversation of responsibility is huge because if you think about making more money, that can be a variety of different ways. Maybe you bring in more clients or you raise your prices. Either way, that does mean more responsibility, right? If you bring in more clients, now you have the responsibility of serving more people and whatever that looks like to you. And if you raise your prices, there's a sense of, okay, well, now I'm charging more, so I have to show up more. And it's really important to be able to look at this conversation of responsibility. Does that increased level of responsibility feel good in your body. If you look at it from that angle, again, you'll be really clear right away of like, oh my gosh, working more, having more clients, feeling like I'm charging a lot and therefore I can't make any mistakes. Not that that's true, but that's the belief structure, right? I have to show up. I have to, I have to make sure that my clients succeed, whatever that is. That responsibility is where you're going to feel that in your nervous system, and the willingness to see that and recognize that, yes, money is an amplifier. So again, if you resist responsibility in certain circumstances, because responsibility doesn't look the same all across the board. Maybe you're a mother of children and you're really good at being a mother and taking on that responsibility. That's not necessarily the same responsibility as it is in your business or in your career, right? So your relationship with responsibility will show you how your willingness is to bring in more of that responsibility, because they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. Money and responsibility go hand in hand. I have a wonderful Spider-Man quote. He says, with great power comes great responsibility. And he's correct. And, a lot of us, because we don't feel comfortable managing money, we don't feel comfortable in the energy of money. We are, again, subconsciously pushing away that responsibility because we don't want to cause harm. We don't want to be greedy. We don't want to misuse money. And so on a subconscious level, we say, yeah, I'd just rather not have that responsibility. And then we wonder, why isn't money flowing to us? Why are our businesses not working well? Why are we being underpaid in our careers?
Yeah. I mean, and so often, as a fractional CFO and a wealth mentor, I see it with my clients. It's like they're stuck at this plateau, right, of a certain amount, and they're wondering why they haven't gone over. And sometimes it's a couple of tweaks, right? And could be a profit leak. And I consider mindset not being matched to how much the money you're making as a profit leak. And people go, huh? And I go, if your mind and your mentalness is not matched to the money you're making, guess what? We have a leak because it's stopping you from being able to go to that next level. And those are things that we work on. And, and sometimes I refer people to a somatic coach or a breathwork coach because I know that they're going to need to go deeper than I go. And in the meantime, we also look at those other aspects of the management part and say, okay, is there any other leaks going on? And that's the beauty of it, is you don't have to do this alone.
Yeah.
Alara works with entrepreneurs, to help you move past that and be able to keep going up. I'm a fractional CFO wealth mentor. I work with entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, to be able to help them get past that plateau so that they are not only creating and retaining, but they're expanding their wealth so that they can make that impact. And they're not on that hamster wheel and stuck at this plateau going, why am I not going any higher? Because a lot of times there's a leak, and I'd say 8 out of 10 times, one of the leaks is always a mindset. Even if you say it's not, I guarantee it is part of it. I guarantee it. Because again, as we up level, I call it your inner child, your nervous system, you can call it whatever you want. It's going to pop up and go, this isn't safe. And subconsciously, we self-sabotage ourselves because of that. And that's where, having a mentor and having a coach comes in and helps you. Alara, you said that you have a free offer for my listeners, and I would love for you to tell them about it, because honestly, I'm excited about it, y'all. I'm going to be honest. I don't sign up for all of them, but there are a few that I get excited over, and I'm excited about this one where I'm going to actually go and sign up as well. So will you please tell them about it?
I don't know which one you're speaking to. I have two. So
it's the free daily wealth activation.
Okay, perfect. Yes, that one is, what Lisa Marie is speaking to about mindset is so important. And, this is something we have to be aware of every single day. Every single day, and particularly the most powerful, I think, as we've all been told, is the morning, right? Putting yourself into the right mindset, putting yourself into the right energetic state first thing during the day. really sets the stage throughout your entire day. This has been proven time and time again. So the daily wealth activation is just a short 10-minute video that helps you get into that energy of your abundant state, of seeing your reality from that state, being able to take action from that state, as well as to respond to your day from that state, that mental state of abundance. It's very powerful. And my clients love it because it's something they can lean on every single day, even when they wake up going, oh, shoot, and wake up in, mixed energies or something happened. They can just drop into this very short video and shift their energy and really come out of it completely feeling like, no, I've got this. Let's keep going.
I love that. I love that. And like I said, I was reading it and I was like, oh, hell yes. Okay. Because that's another tool. Like I'm for it. So I'm asking you, my listeners, to please go and get this. Like I said, I don't do it for all of them, but and this one I do believe will help. Just, go and get it. It's going to be in the show notes. And, the one thing I want you to take from this is no matter where you're at, you just have to decide, right? You have to know, and then you decide to shift it from having a toxic relationship to having a loving relationship with money, and it's possible. And I think that that's the biggest thing that I really want you to to get from there, and that just goes back to your circumstances don't define you. And I think that that's just really huge. So until next time, thank you so much, Alara, for being a guest on my show. And my sassy listener, until next time, remember, stay sassy. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on Cash and Sass. Check us out on social media and on our website at www.thesassywealthcoach.com, where you can download my free Money Story Start Guide. The website again is www.thesassywealthcoach.com. And as always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. And remember, yes, it is possible to have sassy and sexy money. See you next week.